first, why are we here? I don't mean in an existential sense. Starting with most organizations, you're trying to make some kind of a change, whether it's software change, process change, or so on. And the first thing you need to ask yourselves is, why are we here? Why are we doing this? And looking at a PMO, for example, and many of you I know have program management offices or project management offices, a typical PMO mission statement might be something like to promote best practice standards and methodologies to foster effective project management practices, to consistently deliver projects that are on time, on budget, and within scope. Now, if you look at that statement, well, never mind the fact that most PMOs these days, if they want to really provide value to the organization, they're more focused on strategy and resource planning and portfolio management than they are around project execution. But that's besides the point. Putting that aside, if you look at this statement, does it really drive behavior, which is really what any kind of a statement is meant to do. It's meant to drive behavior in your organization. Chances are not. In fact, Dilbert makes fun of these typical types of statements. For example, here's a Dilbert mission. They actually have a mission statement generator on the Dilbert site. You can actually Google it, and it'll actually generate a mission statement using all the jargon. So this is one of them. Our mission is to continue to efficiently facilitate diverse methods of empowerment and professionally disseminate performance-based deliverables to meet our customer needs. So, again, it's a mouthful of stuff that people generally ignore and don't read. It's not going to really drive behavior, so to speak. Another example I often see is people say we need 100% compliance with the new methodology or system that we're rolling out. And again, it's like pointing a gun at a horse and saying, I said drink. The horse has no clue what you're talking about, and neither do most people when you're talking about compliance. What they're usually doing is they're going to wait and they're going to test you to see if you're really serious about it, because they're going to continue doing the way they do things. They might try it for a little bit and say, nah, this isn't for me, and keep on going back to the way they did things. That's generally what happens. There's a movie, The Producers. Some of you may have seen it, with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. Zero Mostel plays a movie producer who learns from his accountant, Gene Wilder, that you could actually make more money with a flop than you could with a hit if you oversell it and it flops. So the accountant gives him this idea inadvertently, and he starts going off on all the different things they could do, and the accountant's like, well, I didn't really mean, and then he interrupts him, and he says, shut up, I'm having a rhetorical conversation. And that's what a lot of these things are. The organization will come up and say, here's what we want to do, here's our mission, here's our this and that and values, and then they kind of put that up there, and it's really like a rhetorical conversation because it's not really, again, driving behavior. More Dilbert here. I left my mission statement paperweight in the sun, and it set my cubicle on fire, and that's why I'm late. I tried to douse it using my We Are Quality mug, but the handle broke, and I got shards. So, again, Dilbert makes a lot of, typical fun of these things. So rule number one is don't kid yourself. Mandated values, policies, mission statements do not drive behavior unless it's a very sticky message and it's saying something different, and we'll hear more about that in a little bit. And again, the more these messages are created in a vacuum, the more they tend to be ignored. So breaking news, people don't care. So how do you talk their language when they're really not sure what it is you're getting at or why you're doing it? How do you win people over when they're skeptical by nature? How do you become their trusted advisor, where you can actually provide information, provide details, and being especially if you're a PMO, you want to be a trusted advisor. You don't want to just be a bottleneck of typical organizational jargon. How do you get people to do things that they just don't want to do typically? And how do you address when their attitude is really, my world is changing and I don't like it? You're trying to introduce change and they're used to the way they were doing things before. So let's try this again. Why are we here? What you need to do first is ask yourself the questions, what is it we're trying to achieve actually? And I don't mean we're trying to achieve implementing this software or trying to achieve implementing this process. Why are you doing it? What problem are you trying to solve? For who? It may not be for the people in your organization. It may be for the executives to have better visibility. It may be, but be transparent about what is it you're trying to achieve and for whom. And when, what things have to happen in what order? What's the benefit? Who benefits? Why should anybody care? And these are the things to think about, and they'll help form the communication plan. But that's just the beginning. That's just where it all starts. What we're going to look at today is a structured approach for trying to get buy-in and engagement from all levels in the organization. We're going to look at planning, what kind of strategies there are for success. So how do you get your initiative off on the right foot to begin with? And that's where things often go wrong, is in the very beginning, is if, not planning for it correctly. And then we're going to look at the message of, okay, now that you have a general idea of what you're doing and you've taken the right approach, how do you get the point across? How do you communicate in a way that grabs people's attention and interest? And then lastly, the people. You've planned your approach. You've communicated well. How do you drive engagement? How do you keep people involved? How do you remove the barriers that typically cause resistance? So these are the things we're going to look at. Now, think of all these things as tools in a toolbox. Not everything is going to work for every organization. We're going to look through a bunch of tools. Actually, this was based on a white paper I did a while back called 50 Ways to Lead Your Users. Not leave, but lead. We're actually going to look at 50 ways in here, but it's going to go pretty quickly because I zoomed through them. First of all, the planning, strategies for success, getting your initiative off on the right foot. So these are all tools that you can use for and strategies. First of all is focusing on the problem. Again, there's a lot of things that you could be doing. Some people love boiling the ocean. They like trying to solve world hunger and doing all this. Or on the other hand, they bite off more than they can chew, like Icarus here on the left, who flew too close to the sun. So you want to really zero in on a specific problem, ideally one at a time, and gather people around to focus on it. Don't focus on silos and competition and who's getting what and things like that. We focus everybody on helping you solve a problem, and that means people at all levels. We're trying to solve this problem. We're going to need everybody's help here. Let's rally around it. And that sounds like a rudimentary thing, but you'd be surprised how many organizations tackle a huge implementation without getting everybody's buy-in on not the implementation, but the problem that you're trying to solve. That's the key, is shifting that focus. Now, if you look at typical executive expectations, like one example might be, we want to maximize value from our IT investment. Well, what does that mean? You want to maximize value. There's a lot of ways you can maximize value, but you really have to get into the questions that people are going to ask to solve this problem. Are we working on the right projects? If we're not, then certainly we're not maximizing our value. We're wasting time. Are we investing wisely in our assets and our services? Are we making the best use of our resources? A lot of these things are related. Are we targeting and tracking benefits? Do we even know how we maximize value if we don't even know if we're delivering value? We know we're doing things. We know we're spending money, but are we delivering value? Are they actually, reaping the benefits? Are we aware of the impact of project delays on business outcomes? Do you have a roadmap, for instance, where you're looking at your project roadmap and your milestones and then tie that to your business outcomes, and are we aware what the impact is? Or is it just, do we look at it just as an individual project?
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also getting complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year. But if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.